Hello, welcome to Market Event. My name is Edward Nyakung. The EU countries in America responded to the invasion of Russia in Ukraine with a raft of sanctions, and as a result, these sanctions are having a heavy toll on the Russian economy. Question is, can Russia evade these sanctions via China and cryptocurrencies? We're going to look at that with Kojo Jan and Kojo Kusi Frimpong, who are banking and then financial analysts based in the UK. Before we continue, let's speak the business language for today, and then we'll go to the stock market. Maurice Ogbete is standing by to give us the analysis for the day. Welcome back. We're going straight to the Ghana Stock Exchange to look at what transpired today during the trading session. Maurice, thanks. We're here today again.
Right. Thank you very much, Edward. And so by close of trading today, we had some 3.9 million shares exchanging hands on the Ghana Stock Exchange. But that could not, cause any change on the market. And so we see the composite index registering a 0 point, the financial stock index also registering a 0 point. Everything remains the same just as it was yesterday. The year-to-date return still in the negatives, negative 2.07%. The financial stock index negative 1.53%. We see, as I said, the market capitalization still at 63.3 billion Ghana cedis, just as we saw yesterday, because there was no price change on the market today, Edward. So, but let's look at who sold,
the most shares,
the most shares on the market. And so, as usual, we saw MTN selling some 3.8 million shares valued at almost 4 million Ghana cedis. And then we see the likes of Access Bank. They sold 1,911 shares valued at 3.8 million Ghana cedis. We also see Enterprise Ghana Limited. They sold 131,187 shares at 432,917 Ghana cedis on the market. We also saw the likes of
Carbank.
Yes, Carbank also sold some 1,650 shares valued at 1.4 million Ghana cedis on the market today. And so, Edward, that's just about it. We didn't see any of the equities registering an increase or a decrease in terms of price and value.
That's great. Thank you very much, Maurice Ogbete, for that analysis. We go for a short break. When we come back, we're going to join with Kojo Jan in the UK, as well as Kojo Kusi Frimpong, also based in the UK, via Zoom. Great to talk to Kojo Jan and Kojo Kusi Frimpong. Gentlemen, you are welcome.
Thank you very much for having us.
Great. Now let's look at the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia almost a week now. In your view and assessing the toll or the effects on the Russian economy, what will be your verdict?
Well, if I may start, I think that it's very obvious that it's starting to have some effects. The interest rates, in Russia at the moment, the government has had to double it to be able to keep up with, how it's shrinking. And then of the European, countries, especially the UK, the EU are having to, add more sanctions, especially targeting individuals. And then, of course, you can see that Sberbank, which is one of Russia's biggest bank, which accounts for about 35% of the financial sector, has been prohibited from clearing sterling payments through the UK banking financial system. So this is a big thing, especially for all the businesses that Russia does, with the pound sterling will be affected. And of course, I think this week we discussed the fact that Russia has about 31 companies on the London Stock Exchange, and those companies contribute, in excess of 400 billion every year as profits, and they pay about 38 to 40 billion of that as taxes to the Russian government. So I think that it's a gradual process, but at the moment you can see that the individuals even in Russia are looking at selling off. Some people are talking about trying to get rid of their mortgages to move out of Russia, because they can see that the longer the invasion goes on or the fight goes on, the worse the economy will get.
All right. Now, Kusi, in your view, were Sberbank and Rosneft, Look Oil, are struggling to survive these sanctions? Are the Western countries getting what they're expecting?
So currently, thanks for the question. Currently, what is happening is that in countries like Austria, Sberbank is actually on the verge of collapse. And in certain other countries, their central banks are looking to ring-fence deposits up to about 100,000 euros. So looking at all of these actions in totality, you can tell that with Lukoil, Gazprom, all their shares are actually tanking currently. They have a secondary listing on the London Stock Exchange. So with the way their share prices are going down, you can tell that it's having a very, very devastating effect on the Russian economy.
But let's balance it, Kusi. Again, the Western nations that have put the sanctions on Russia are also bearing the brunt of the sanctions. We've seen oil prices hitting $119 per barrel today.
Yeah. So what is also happening is that countries like Germany, or even countries in the wider European Union, are having to look out for alternative sources of gas and then also oil, because probably in the future, you never know, they might have to look at sanctioning the Russian oil sector also. And if that were to happen, then Europe, the prices of fuel and gas or heating would actually go up. And I believe that countries like Germany don't want to go to war, but they are having to face the consequences economically. So it is that way.
All right. Now, Kojo Jain, we've seen that there are attempts by Russia to try to maneuver its way out of the sanctions, and we're hearing that they want to trade in the Chinese yuan or RMB. Is that a way out for them to survive these harsh sanctions when they go into, they start trading in Chinese currency?
Well, at the moment it looks like the walls are closing in on them, and so they to survive economically, they will take any option that is available. And of course, as we know, China is one of those countries that when these issues comes up, they take advantage of it, and so they are willing to welcome them with open arms, because the Chinese know what they will get out of it, and for Russia, as we're talking at the moment, as a country and even individuals in the country are more or less, have very few options at the moment. You can see, at the moment, I was speaking to a colleague, and he's a Chelsea fan, and he was like, the moment he started talking about Chelsea, everyone, kind of didn't want to hear it because of the link with, Abramovich, link with Putin, of course, and of course, there's criticism everywhere. Anything related to Russia at the moment, nobody wants to touch. You can see the football clubs, Everton, more or less trying to get rid of, Usmanov. Abramovich is basically decided to cut his losses and sell Chelsea because they know that if this thing goes longer, there's going to be more sanctions where they'll start losing assets. And so back to your question, I think that Russia has very limited options at the moment because they don't have any allies in Europe at the moment. When they go to North America, they have no allies. So I think China is the only country that, when you get into this kind of issues, will welcome you. But then the cost of that welcome is also something that will be decided in the future.
Now, Kusi, if indeed it happens, and it's to happen actually, if China continue to trade, Russia continue to trade in the Chinese language, what would be the impact on these sanctions and even the Chinese currency itself in terms of export?
All right, so let's get certain things also straight. Russia's reserves currently are mostly in euros, about 15% in dollars. So it's not like the Russian government has any wiggle room to just quickly convert those amounts into Chinese yuan or renminbi, as they call it in China. And the Europeans are also looking at asset freezes. So that could also affect the central bank's ability to tap into its foreign reserves, to even prop up their currency locally, and then also to make exchanges for the Chinese market. But then also what we tend to forget is that China is an exporting economy, and Russia, in terms of the whole scheme of things, is not the bigger picture for China currently. China would want to trade with the West, countries across Africa, and as you can see, our own president and ECOWAS have actually issued statements decrying what has happened in Ukraine. So China wouldn't want to create as many enemies, though a few weeks ago it did issue a statement during the Olympics that their partnership, that is the Russian and the Chinese partnership, remains very strong. But as you can read news reports, the Chinese are wavering a bit. They've started talking about stepping into, and also they are also talking about de-escalation. So they need a West. China definitely needs a West. And if China is not careful also, they also use the SWIFT system. So they don't want to be seen as helping China to evade sanctions.
Helping Russia to evade sanctions?
Sorry, helping Russia.
All right. Now let's look at the cryptocurrency move by some Russians because they think that is a safe haven. And indeed, may I know, is that a safe haven for those who are losing their ruble in terms of value? So
it has been reported that there's been some sort of upward trajectory coming from Russia. So some Russian citizens are actually signing up for cryptocurrencies exchanges. And the thing is, it's not all of Russia that has been sanctioned. That is all the individuals in Russia that have been sanctioned. So for crypto exchanges, what they can do is to do what they normally do, as in onboarding these new clients. But where the issue really is that their current anti-money laundering checks are quite stringent. So if they find out that certain oligarchs or even the Russian state institutions that have been sanctioned are using such individuals as proxies, then they might have to kick them out. So they can certain Russian entities can use crypto to evade sanctions. But you see, the thing is, they cannot do that by in terms of volume. They cannot be as much as they would if they were using raw cash or fiat. But that is not the case currently. So they don't have much wiggle room, as Kojo said earlier, even if they want to use crypto.
Could you, crypto, is it a right place to run to in terms of hiding?
Well, I mean, as Kujo has said before, you can see that they have very, very, very little, wiggle room to maneuver. So they are going for any option they can. But of course, that avenue can also be blocked, and then of course it depends on which entities they want to be trading these cryptos with, because when you come into the EU, of course, every financial institution at the moment has put Russia on as a sanctioned country. Every individual from Russia would be scrutinized to know, who that person is. Has this person got any links with Putin? And then if you have, of course, you even if you are able to get yourself to that entity that has onboarded you, will end up getting fines for it. So I think it will be very difficult. It's an avenue they are trying, but as we're saying, within the financial institutions at the moment, every financial institution is actually looking at the new sanctions and how it will affect them with any entity, or even if you have an entity that has just, an office in anywhere in Russia. At the moment, your financial institution is actually reviewing that relationship with you to see if there's any link anywhere. So it's I think it's just too early at the moment for us to know how it will affect them. But I think that in the end, all those avenues will end up being blocked. This is just something that they are experiencing or trying to get away with, because they see that the Russian currency is basically tumbling, and they can't have anything in, or very little option within the sterling. Of course, very little option within the euro and the dollar. So this is an avenue. But as we're saying, it depends on where those first of all, where those cryptos companies are, because if they are within the European Union, within the UK, or within America, then of course onboarding those individuals or whatever company it is will also be a very big issue, because those companies will get fined if they are found to be trading or doing any business with these Russians. So the walls are closing, as we're saying, and I think they have very little option. But maybe that will be an option. But then if it becomes an option, then I'm sure the regulatory institutions within those countries will also come up with their own sanctions for these companies as well.
Now, we're hearing that though SWIFT has been imposed, but UK is still trading with Russia in terms of oil and gas. Kusi?
As we know, there's only certain individuals and certain banks that are being cut off in terms of or have sanctions imposed on them. And also, I've also heard that certain vessels that are Russian-owned are now transferring their oil to other non-Russian vessels. But a time will come, where even oil will be under sanctions if this war keeps escalating. A few weeks ago, we didn't know whether Russia would invade or not, right? But now we know they have invaded and there are sanctions. But going forward, the full gamut of sanction arsenal the West has could be brought to the fore. And I wouldn't want to rule out oil or gas as a target.
So let's look at, finally, as we wrap up, the Russian economic growth for the year was projected at 2.5%. Some are predicting that it might contract by 5% year on year. Kojo Janda.
Well, I mean, I think that is definitely bound to happen in terms of what is going on at the moment, because if you see the sanctions that are being put in place, if the longer this invasion goes on, then the harder, or the harder the situation will be for Russia. It could even get worse. I mean, in my knowledge, because as we're saying, if SWIFT is totally blocked in terms of trading in any form of SWIFT usage, and then the UK also at the moment they are actually targeting individuals and some companies. If it gets to the point where all individuals, all companies, and are sanctioned, and then this is around the globe, where America and then within the EU as well, then this is definitely bound to happen because, as I was saying, Russians are basically the individuals or the citizens are panicking. Those who have mortgages are panicking, or people are saying basically now the currency is not worth anything. You get paid, you can't really buy much with it. So it can get to that point where it could even contract even more than that 5% that has been predicted.
We see your view on that.
So that takes us back to 1998 when Russia experienced a currency crisis. And if you look at things back then, Yeltsin's government couldn't even pay workers, and now we are having issues where the Russian ruble is being treated as a junk crypto asset, so to speak. So the value is just going down and down, and whatever it is, what that also means is that Russia cannot import. If your currency is worthless, that means you need lots and lots of it. And if we think that what is going on in Ghana is bad, then let's put our minds to what Russians are experiencing. And in terms of unemployment, you see, it becomes a big issue because not only are you getting paid when you get paid, right, in money that is worthless, but companies need to also be profitable. And if they cannot be profitable, then what is the point in them keeping workers on their books? So we are looking at unemployment, hyperinflation, Russia not being able to export. You see, so all of these are really, really going to affect the Russian economy. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you've been following the prices of wheat, Kojo. Today we're hearing that the price of wheat is skyrocketing.
Yes, if the price of wheat is going up and your country is not able to export to take advantage of it, and or even if you're able to export but you are off SWIFT, then how do your clients or customers around the world, how do they pay you? You see, that becomes an issue. And even if they are going to pay you in dollars, they are banned from doing that. If they are going to pay you in pound sterling, they can't do that, even in euros. So yes, you might be exporting, but you cannot get your money's worth. And also, let's be mindful that it is a war situation. So the productive capacity within the state would be shifted to war or the military industry. So the price of wheat will go up, but certain countries that also produce wheat or even have substitutes will be taking advantage of it, and not Russia.
All right. Thank you very much, Kojo Jan and Kojo Kusifrimpong, for your time. This is how we end today's session of Market Update. My name is Edward Nyako. God willing, come your way. Shalom.